We do not see this kind of behavior as natural, except as an aberration. It involves direct contact with human feces and leads to various Welcome, family. Time for some moral clarity. My name is Jesse Romero. Many people argue that they have not chosen their condition, that they were born homosexuals, and they try to make homosexual behavior something quite natural for them. I did a previous show demonstrating from scientific sources that no, homosexuals are not born that way. And the evidence that I produced does not support their claim. But now I'm talking more to Catholics, especially those at the Holy See, the USCCB, Catholic priests that are living a double life, that are practicing a homosexual lifestyle as they don the robes of a cleric. As Catholics, not just myself or single persons, myself a married person, priest, everybody, we're all called to chastity. What does that mean? That means sexual purity. That means that we must reject sin by God's grace, including all types of perverted sexual behavior that violates the 6th and 9th commandment. And right now I'm talking about homosexual behavior, which is called one of the worst sins, one of the 4 worst sins that cries out to God, his vengeance from God in heaven. The Catholic Church teaches us that homosexual acts are always violations of the natural law and divine law. People tempted by homosexual desires, like people tempted by improper heterosexual desires, they're not sinning until they act upon those desires in some manner. We must follow the advice of St. Augustine in relation to persons struggling with this orientation, with this disorder. We are called to love the sinner but hate the sin. There is a prominent priest in Northern California. I don't want to mention his name. I don't want to get him in trouble. He wrote such a good, short, pithy article in his parish bulletin several years ago. Here's what this priest said from Northern California. Quote, "This topic of homosexual marriage, homosexuality, is an elephant in America's living room. This elephant is messing all over the floor, and someone has to talk about it. The elephant to which I refer is a so-called gay lifestyle. This elephant has also messed within the church and cost her millions in lawsuits. For 35 years, gay rights organizations have worked to convince us to accept and to celebrate homosexual behavior. They have done their work well. The top 30 gay right organizations employ 1,332 full-time staff with an annual budget of $262 million, all to convince America that homosexual acts are normal." Talk about psyops. They have established homosexual advocacy groups in over 3,000 American high schools and trained over 10,000 students in California alone. But what exactly is this gay lifestyle that we are told to celebrate? It is 2 or more people unnaturally forcing body parts together that were never made to do so. We do not see this kind of behavior as natural, except as an aberration. It involves direct contact with human feces and leads to various diseases. It can never engender new life, as is natural with normal intercourse. Why are we celebrating this? Those afflicted with same-sex attraction need our help, not our enabling. They need our prayers. Our epidemic of sexual aberration is nothing to be celebrated in America. A young friend of mine was accosted by some gay classmates who said they were offended by the Catholic Church's teaching. He looked them straight in the eye and said, I am offended. We should all be offended by the kind of unnatural filth foisted on us and our families. We must speak the truth about sexuality and the human person clearly and charitably. Enabling homosexual behavior deteriorates the common good, and we all suffer as a result. We must be clear. A child cannot have two daddies. A daddy is not merely an adult who happens to live with my father. He's the man, for better or for worse, who has begotten me. We all long for a real mother and a real father who give themselves to each other and bring their child into that selfless love. Let's strengthen our marriage rather than tear it down. Let's strengthen marriages rather than tearing them down. Let's build up fatherhood rather than emasculate it. Let's work to give our children healthy, wholesome, real Christ-centered marriages. Close quote. That was from a priest in Northern California. He's an amazing priest. Lastly, boys need a father to teach them how to respect women, to develop masculine traits, and to learn discipline. A Nobel Prize laureate in economics, George Akerlof, has shown how the breakdown of marriage and the absence of a father in the family or some good father figure is related to the sharp rise of delinquency in the U.S. This alone is nearly conclusive evidence that there is no natural right to same-sex marriage. What about the mutual affection of homosexuals? Isn't that enough for marriage? Not really. Homosexual persons can be united by an emotional union, but never by a biological one. Their sexual activity does not lead to procreation. Heterosexuality, or heterosexual marriage, on the other hand, involves more than this. The same sexual act that unites the spouses is also the act that can potentially create a new life. Heterosexual marriage provides offspring for society and a home where children are raised with the love of a father and a mother and the corresponding masculine and feminine role models, as God intended. Homosexual sex is essentially different from heterosexual sex within marriage. The conjugal act has an inherent language of self-giving expressed by the man's giving of his progenitor cells to his wife. Their love is always linked to procreation, even though procreation does not always follow the conjugal act. Widespread contraception and cohabitation have separated procreation from sexuality in such a way that so that the sexual acts today between persons of the same sex are now considered normal by many people. But the sexual union of a man and woman is objectively different. And the pattern that was given to us was Adam and Eve and their offspring. Be fruitful and multiply. And we know what happened in Genesis chapter 19 to a city that was given over to widespread homosexuality. Sodom and Gomorrah. Fire rained down from heaven. And that's just a precursor of what hell is for those of us that, through an act of our will, choose to live in a state of mortal sin. Family, that's a wrap. God love you. Stay strong, keep the faith, live in a state of grace, and keep your eyes on Jesus. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, the author and finisher of our faith. See ya.